we go. Just give me a sec, everyone. Just make sure everything is working. I think everything is working as it should. Okay. Alright, hello there. So, today, what are we doing? We're continuing the game jam. Yeah, basically that's it. Try and get another hour or so of work done. Yeah, this week's already started out stressful, so we'll see how much we can get done. My hope is go to about 7:15, and then we'll call it there for the day. That's the plan. Whether or not we actually manage that is a different matter entirely, but we can at least try. So let's have a think. So. Okay, so what I want to work on today is we have a base plan. I could do one or two things. I could either start writing, just try and write some of the opening bits. What I think I actually want to do is probably try and what I'll try and do is put out I want to try and work out what that there is a mystery. What I kind of want to work out is what is the mystery? What's the backstory to the mystery? What's the So let's have a think, shall we? So we want the mystery. How goes Jam? Jam goes right. I'm just early planning. I'm just trying to work out what the mystery is. In that I have an idea what the vaguest aspects of the mystery are. Now I've got to try and. So we know basically something happened in this village that causes within the area when the moonlight touches zombies happen. So my general thoughts is a corruption of faith. But I'm trying to work out So, when the moonlight touches certain things, they turn into zombies. Zombies attack. There's also the fact that effectively fears of the local area, of people in the local area, are manifesting, and there is also kind of this physical embodiment, hunting them down, this kind of slasher killer stalker thing. Well, let's have a look. Let's genres of horror. So we're looking at generally at the moment kind of a folk horror. So let's have a look. Strange practices, dangerous beings might be accepted as part of society. So let's have a look. So, secluded temple's high priest. The Aryans that appear when youngsters speak a rhyme to a darkened mirror. Night hag that dwells in the dreams of those who drink special lavender and ergot tea. Shapeshifter that takes on the appearance of the last person it fed upon. Wicker giant that animates during a new moon. Interesting. So I'm just trying in my head just to tie up a couple of the suggestions, just to see if they would work. So what I'm thinking, the land, the kingdom that this is set in has a strong monotheistic faith in the goddess of the moon and the principle that the moon, the reason the moon is important is it is the source of light that banishes the darkness, and so her followers banish evil with the power they are bestowed upon her by her. So what if a ritual to the moon was slightly altered? But it's been altered slightly, slowly, bit by bit over time. And then that change of the rituals, what did it? Perhaps with the intent that it would reverse the effect of, instead of the moonlight banishing the darkness, it encourages the darkness, which is why you have the weird stuff happen. Okay. So that's that, but then who and why? I don't want this to turn into a very traditional, there was a witch. There was an evil old lady in like the cabin in the corner of the village, who was the local witch who did something wrong. I don't want to go down that direction. Um, could to call upon some of my knowledge of Lovecraft, we could do an old eccentric farmer who effectively started delving into things that really he shouldn't have, which would also begin to explain why he would want to mess with. Am I effectively making Silent Hill meets Dunwich Horror? That is not a combination I ever expected I was about to say. But it kind of works. Old man wanting power and secrets begins to research into things he really shouldn't. But in order to tap into the darker aspects, he has to corrupt the ritual that helps banish evil in the area. And then over time, he corrupted it further to not only prevent the protective effects, but also yeah. So effectively what I'm thinking is when the farmer starts, he corrupts the rituals slightly. Just ever so slight, just a hint to prevent the protection. But then something happens. I think two events happen. I think two events in my head are happening. The first event is you're starting to see the zombies. Effectively, the light of the moon is not banishing the darkness, so the undead are starting to rise up. At the same time, as the farmer begins to delve into the text more and more, he begins to, as all Lovecraftian individuals do, begins to kind of become obsessed. And in the obsession begins to enact more rituals to kind of effectively bring the entity through that's tied to the texts. And of course, the public, seeing the rituals failing, might ask how do they prevent the zombies attacking, at which point it is then a lot easier to convince the village that new alterations happen. And then effectively the village get involved. And at that point, you can start delving into more traditional folk horror of what's the scene from Hot Fuzz? The greater good. Start getting into the greater good stuff where it's like, but for the good of the village, we're going to do all these horrible things because it stopped the zombies. Which means that the key to solving this is going to be the ritual. Okay. Yes, that works. Because we can tie it to Adventure 1 by saying that this person was in correspondence with the individual from the first adventure, who was also doing dodgy research. And it started as academic curiosity that began to just get a bit more and more obsessive as they started delving into texts that they really should not have. And I could imagine that the individual from Adventure 1 would perhaps have sent them a tome. It wouldn't be tied to the god that they initially summoned, but I imagine it's something smaller. Instead of a Yog-Sothoth or an Azathoth or a Cthulhu, just something slightly smaller, an agent. Not a bit like Nyarlathotep, but kind of smaller scale, not as powerful. Which then also works with Adventure 2. Yes, I like the sound of this. So effectively, the players will probably be discovering correspondence of the old man when they're in the house. They'll maybe discover some of the eldritch texts. In the other places in the village, they'll probably get journal entries about how suddenly the ritual stopped working, and then they started having to do more and more harsh things to kind of make the ritual work. And a bit like the Dunwich horror, I imagine that is where the slasher creature comes from, effectively. And then, to deal with it, the players will have to effectively two sides of the Rifter situation. So in Adventure Adventure 1 is a haunted mansion where they discover about an ancient evil that needs to be stopped. Adventure 2 is a travel where they begin to mess with the Eldritch. Adventure 3, they learn how to travel into the dreamlands to deal with a threat. So Adventure 4, I think, should resolve with them practicing effectively the dreamlands magic to cross over to the others. Effectively, they either have to split the party or they have to work out how to do it so that on our side they can perform the correct ritual to restart the protective power. Perhaps also adding in a secondary ritual of healing to kind of just heal the land. While on the other side, they have to effectively battle this eldritch thing. Because for most of this event, they're not really going to get much in the way of D&D combat, so at least I can give them that there. Yes. Yeah, let's add that. So I got to write this down. So I don't think I actually want. So what weird things were they doing in their rituals? I wonder. Let's think a second. I want to pull ideas of folk horror. I want to pull ideas of eldritch horror and investigation. And I want to pull. Let's have a think. Two thoughts come to mind. Because the idea is when the moonlight shifts, effectively, where you saw zombies, effectively there are trees, there are bushes, there are rock outcrops, and then when the moonlight hits them, effectively where a rocky outcrop would have a bit sticking out, that's where the arm of the zombie is. The branches of the trees are just the arms of zombies all stood over each other as they start crawling back towards the players. But I wonder if even under the moonlight there is a single tree. There is a single tree at the corner of the village. And in the past, it may have been used to. Effectively, it's an old hanging tree. But I wonder if part of the ritual, some stuff may have been done with the tree, which means it never shifts its form. But maybe when under the moonlight they see the villagers kind of fused with the tree, or you hear noises coming from the tree. Because you could kind of go Elrond the Witch Elm, or there are a few ideas. There are a few ideas. Yeah, they do. They do. Yeah, there's a few ideas we can do there. Um, oh, it's just that bit where I'm starting to get images in my head of certain scenes. It's just like, yes, yeah, I think we've got something here. Definitely got something here. Mm, true. Just having my head kind of, if the players commit the ritual and they do it correctly, so everything heals, everything kind of is protected, the tree will burst into flames, and effectively they can see all the souls of all the trapped villagers passing on. Oh, yeah. The ooze. But no, this... Okay. So the players are travelling. They enter a forest. Mist comes. And the moment it's dark, everything's fine. Suddenly, clouds begin to shift. The moonlight strips down, and as the moon hits the trees turn into zombies. The players will probably fight. After more zombies start coming, they'll probably start to run. As they run, they'll find themselves getting lost until they find a village. They'll probably try to barricade themselves in one of the buildings, which is fine. Clouds go overhead, so the zombies stop, which gives the players then a chance to investigate whatever building they're in. At which point, depending on the building they pick, they'll probably be able to start piecing out bits and pieces. At which point, my thought is there'll be a timer. Effectively, that there are multiple timers going off as the DM runs this session. The first timer, which should be semi-random, is how long till the moon comes back, how long till the zombies start attacking again. Then there should be, and that timer should also then, when the zombies are attacking, turn into how long until the zombies stop attacking. Then you have a second timer. The second timer is effectively when they start investigating. It's when do they start getting bits of the slasher coming after them. And effectively over time, as the timer progresses, it changes until eventually it's effectively a full-blown slasher movie. Though you still want to encourage the DM to give them moments of pause so that the players can effectively still investigate. While they're in the village, effectively you're pulling on occult investigation meets folk horror, but it's kind of a historical folk horror in that effectively they're reading the journal entries of the folk horror. They're reading how the village slowly turned into this dark and horrible thing, while also trying to piece out what actually happened. Then as they do this, they'll hopefully work out, as they travel through the village, they'll then go to the farmer's house, at which point, depending how brazen I think he was at the end, depends how much is on obvious display, but they might be able to find evidence, the different journals, the different books, the correspondence. And then I'm thinking in the basement, effectively a basement that they have to travel underground, deeper and deeper, until they arrive in a cavernous room with all this ritual paraphernalia. And in the ceiling is just the roots of the hanging tree coming down, And then it's there that they'll need to perform the cleansing ritual. And it's there they'll have to go to the other side to deal with the problem. And then what I'll have to do is ensure that there is guidance, that if the players haven't been doing the adventure series, that there is also a guide on how to go to the Dreamlands, so that then they can have the encounter. So in theory, this sounds very, very simple. In theory, this is going to be bugger. Mainly, the simplicity is map-wise very simple. You just have to make a village and then a battlescape for the Dreamlands. The difficulty I see is going to be writing the clues and spreading them out between the different houses of the village. And then the other thing that's going to be difficult is writing this timer. Because effectively, you've got to kind of write a timer that to a degree is prepared for players to be super fast but also super slow. Because in the past, I have run one-shots that are heavy improv. Not D&D, they are just statless games. And to be honest, it was the competitor for writing this for the Game Jam. They're statless games. And one of the big things about them is they are, to a degree, this investigative horror. But the big thing is their survival. There are timers. Because they were made to be run at a game society, it meant I only had like 3-4 hours to run a session in. So I could very specifically set timers in that 4-hour window to go, at this point this goes off, at this point this goes off. But I feel for this, you have to be careful, because you have to basically work out when is roughly the right time to start the timer, and then you need to work out how to mechanize the timer. I mean, the alternate is I can give the dungeon master a few variant timers going. Depending on how fast your group is going, perhaps look to these as your timers. So if they're going very slow, making it narratively focused, so effectively what you do is you focus on letting them, because obviously you still want to give them an impetus to hurry. So what you do is you kind of go, right, if you're being especially slow, you go, right, once they've found 1 or 2 clues, attack them again. Then give them some time to recover, work out 1 or 2 more clues, then attack them again. If they start to speed up, if the attacks do light the match under them, then begin to move to one of the other timers. I think perhaps if you mix narrative with dice rolls, so effectively you just keep rolling a dice every so many minutes, and if you roll a certain number, the trigger goes off, the zombies attack. the slash you want to be a slightly different timer. The slasher is one where we have to be very careful about when do you start it, because effectively how I'm imagining the design is you cannot kill the slasher. You just, perhaps if you knock it to 0 hit points, effectively it goes down, but then after a few moments it will start to get back up, at which point you're then encouraged to use that brief respite to actually get out. I think that might be the best. Yeah, we could do that. And then maybe pause timers when certain events happen. Because obviously one of the other things is as they go through, the magic of the area is going to make them basically face their fears, face their pasts, face the fears of whoever lived in each of the houses. With the main aim being that obviously if you've characters who've been playing for a few sessions, you might have some stuff you can pull in, which is nothing we're going to have to add to the introduction. We're going to have to add to the introduction basically sitting down with your players, probably going, right, what are your fears? Are there any especially bad memories that stick out to them as things that a benevolent force would want to use against them? And then perhaps maybe have some random tables for some more neutral stuff. Allow the DM to get creative if they want to custom build some encounters for their players, but also have some generic ones based on the fears of the villagers. Obviously, a Dungeon Master will also need to know the phobias of the actual players so that they can avoid specific ones. It's kind of, this has ended up being Dunwich Horror meets Silent Hill meets kind of Betrayal at House on the Hill meets other random bullshit, meets slasher horror, Dead by Daylight, which is hilarious because this will be the second adventure that I've ended up sitting there going, this is kind of going to end up being a bit like playing a game of Betrayal at House on the Hill. Which one's God Complex? Is that the one where where the guy turns into like the centipede monster? Where am I getting my adventures? Or no, it isn't the one on the moon because that's like the waters of Mars or something. Is it the one where the guy turns into the centipede monster? Hotel Minotaur rooms with fears. Fair enough. I don't think I've seen that one. Once. Oh, it's one of the Matt Smith's ones. Okay. Interesting. But yeah. Oh, this is good. The only problem I see with this one's the same problem I'm having with the adventure before it, where it's just so much text I'm going to have to pre-write. Largely because, like the previous one, it's just going to be a lot of written entry. To be fair, all of these adventures so far, with the exception of Adventure 2, has a lot of written entries. Adventure 1 has like letters and diary entries and all sorts of stuff that the players find. Yeah, it is something I've just noticed with my style. It seems to be a lot of finding written entries and then using it to solve your problem. Creature fees. Oh, fair enough. Oh, fair enough. Right. I think I'm meeting all the goals. We've got Adventure Hook, we've got incorporating remembrance in the past. Pre-game prep is going to be very important. Adventure Hooks, travelling in the woods, the village, the mystery, the resolution. Okay. Right. Right. What I'm going to do is I'm probably going to call the stream here because I think we've done what we set out to do. The hilarious bit is there's a monster in the previous adventure in the series that I'm also writing simultaneously that has literally a monster that turns into your worst fears. And the thing is, once it's turned into your fear, you can't think about the fear, otherwise it knows where you are. Because it's really hard to not think about your fear when it's chasing you. That's a different monster. It's going to be hilarious that 2 adventures in a row are going to be so. What's your terrible fears? What's your traumatic backstory? But anyway, yes, I think that is enough for today because we have been going for about 3/4 of an hour, and we have actually gotten quite a lot done, which is good. Which is the point. So, right, thinking. So we'll probably do another one of these next week. I'll try to get some writing done. Because obviously there is only one, two. There is only, after this week, there is only 3 weeks left of the jam. But I think I have a backup game that I can write if I need to, if the deadline's getting close and this isn't getting done. Because I think at this point I have already done a game jam where I burnt myself out trying to get something done in an unreasonable amount of time, and I'm not going to repeat that. Remember, crunch is not cool. But yes, okay, so let's have a look. Let's go raid a Cyber Jules who is doing some making and crafting, which is cool. But yes, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for talking with us through ideas, helping us. There's a phrase we use in computing called rubber ducking it, where you effectively talk, and as you talk, you resolve your problem. So yes, I'd like to thank you all for coming. I'd like to thank you all for joining, and yeah, we'll see you later this week with us on Stellaris.